Hey, I'm Dr. Dave Harris, and I want to welcome you to this series of videos on video and television production. We're talking about audio for video in this video, and specifically talking about an audio mixer. What is a mixer? Now, it's not just a clever name. What a mixer does is it mixes things. So you may have a number of different inputs of audio. You may have 4 different talent members, all with different microphones, just like the one I've got on right here. That's going to come in on a channel right here. A channel is going to come all the way up through this vertical area of the mixer. This particular mixer has a number of different channels. Looks like it's got about 16 channels on this mixer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 16. And then I've got a red one right here. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what these things are in just a second, but a mixer really is just all about controlling and manipulating audio and then mixing all the different audio signals together and making your production sound the very best that it possibly can. Some of the ways that we can do that is we can use EQ or equalization. We do talk about that in a different video. We can talk about dynamics, where we have things like compression or expansion or companding, things like that. We do talk about that in a different video. And then also different effects, maybe reverb or other things that the mixer can do. Now, depending on the mixer that you're using, you may not have any or all of these, but new digital mixers have this for each channel, and also the main outputs and also some auxiliary outputs as well. A lot of stuff going on with a mixer. Let's talk a little bit about that here in this particular video, and then I invite you to look at the other videos where we talk more specifically about these specific topics. So first off, on this particular mixer, at the very top of each channel, now we saw the faders down here. The faders are the volume controls or the gain controls for each specific channel. But we've also got the on-off button. Now you can see this one's lit. That means that this channel is ready to go. It's going to be outputting sound as long as we have that fader pushed up and there's volume coming out or there's gain coming out. So the faders allow us to mute or unmute that particular channel. In fact, on some mixers, it's actually labeled as mute. If you push the button, it's going to mute the channel. If you unpush the button, it's going to not mute the channel. On this mixer, it's titled on and off. The faders we talked about, they're down here a little bit lower. You can slide them up, which is going to amplify or not attenuate, I should say. If you bring it all the way down, it's going to attenuate the signal all the way down eventually till it's at negative infinity. You won't hear it at all. Or you can push it up even to a point where it might actually do a little bit of amplification, making it a little bit louder. We also have a meter for each channel. Notice it's on a digital scale. We've got 0 dB here and all the way to minus 60 dB. Notice it also says over. This light's going to be red. You're going to see this jump up and down as you have audio coming through that particular channel. And you can see which channel is being overdriven and which one may need to be pushed up just a little bit more on that fader. We've also got on this particular mixer a Q button. If I was to push that and I had headphones on plugged into the front of the mixer, I would hear that channel in my headphones, in my headset, in my headphones, and ensure that that channel sounds great without actually sending that channel out to air. That may be exactly what I want to do. Just make sure that there's some sound or some drums or some audio from a person, a talent, something like that. I want to ensure what that is. I can push Q and bring that right into my headset. Lastly, I've got the select buttons. Now, generally, you're only going to have one lit up at a time. You may push this one. Now channel 2 is selected, and that gives us access to the menu items up at the top of the mixer, which allows us to change things for that specific channel. So as we select different channels, we're able to make changes to that particular channel. Now, on this particular mixer, we can actually assign it so that 2 of these are ganged up, one on the left channel, one on the right channel. If you push one, the other one's going to start blinking, saying, yep, you're affecting me too. That's how it works on this particular mixer. Now, on the right-hand side of this mixer, we do have the stereo master. And the master in this case is a red fader. You notice that it's at 0 here, and it's at negative infinity here, and then it does go up onto the plus 10 range to give us some amplification. The master is a way for us to fade everything out. Let's say that I was fading to black in my video production and I wanted to fade the audio out as well. Well, I could bring the master fader down or the main mix fader down, and in time with that fade to black, have the audio fade out just as easily. On this particular mixer, I also do have some user-defined keys. Those are accessible and changeable in the menu, and as I push particular buttons, the mixer can do specific things based on what I've wanted it to do. That's actually one of the reasons why we have this label down here marked speakers, because if we push this user-defined key number 1, then we have the ability to change the monitor output of this mixer, which is driving the amplifier, which is driving our monitor speakers. So we can actually independently move those monitor speakers into a muted state by bringing them all the way down, especially useful when we're in commercial breaks and we do not want to be listening to the commercials. That's one of the reasons that we use it that way. All right, up at the top of the menu, I do have a menu which gives me access to a lot of different functions within the mixer. Right now this is set to the fader menu, which if I was to select, again, at the bottom of each of those channels or just below this menu, at the top of the channel but just below this menu, I push that select button. That allows me to select the specific channel. This one in this case is at channel 2. I have access to many, many different things. For example, I've got the preamp gain, which is right up here. I can amplify that signal. If it's a mic level, I can bring it up to a line level, or I can increase that gain on that preamp, which is the first thing that that channel hits before it does anything else with the mixer. I do also have some sends. I can adjust these to be pre or post fader. I can do lots of different things over there. I also have 2 dynamics processors, one here, one here. Right now they're set for to be compressors in this particular case. I do have an EQ section. We do have videos on these 2 sections and on this section as well. Look for the one called Dynamics. Look for the one called EQ or Equalization or Channel Equalization. I do also have the direct output where I can assign a direct output for this particular channel. This is another control of the fader level. As I push that fader up, it's going to come up. As I bring it down, it's going to go down. I've got inserts, and then finally I do have a VU meter, I should say a digital meter that tells me the scale of that particular channel. How do we navigate this menu? Well, we've got some left and right arrows, some up and down arrows, and then I've got an enter key right here. So I just push this button. What that's going to do is it's going to move the cursor around. Right now I've got it set right here, and as I move those left and right or up and down arrows, it's going to select different things on this particular menu. And then I have that dial, as you saw. Actually, I've got 2 buttons, one called increment, one called decrement, increment and decrement, or I have the dial if I just want to rotate those or increment them or decrement them one aspect at a time. So I've got the dial or the jog wheel to do that. Lots of different ways to do it, and I do have some accessibility. I've got some dynamics accessibility up here, and I've got some EQ accessibility up here. We'll talk about that again in those different videos. I want to let you know that this video is part of a series of videos on video and television production. We've got lots of videos on our channel. I invite you to look at the playlists where we have them better organized. I also want you to subscribe. Do subscribe. We post videos all the time on video and television production. And if you are enjoying the channel, liking the content, do become a patron by going to our Patreon page, helping us out, making it so that we can make more videos just like this. I am Dr. Dave Harris, and I thank you for your support.